Like if you look up, the raccoon squared up numerous times.
This morning you like.
You know how most people nowadays were being like, man, I really don't like watching the news. I just hate watching the news. It's just too sad, too depressing. Now for me, I personally love watching the news just because you will come across some stories that are absolutely insane. Some will make you think, and there's some that can just be like, ah. See, a friend of mine, he was telling me about how, he was excited about how Florida was passing a new open carry permit laws, and I was like, okay, that's cool, that's something down there in Florida. That's the case up here in Tennessee now, right? And, well, he's like, yeah, and I'm like, I guess he didn't see this story.
Our Nick Barris broke this bizarre story late yesterday and this morning has exclusive details from the police investigation.
As you can see, he's live at our 5 Alert Center with this exclusive story. Nick, obviously, this scared a lot of people yesterday.
It did. This is a very popular park, Ben, a walking trail in Antioch, and this guy was certainly drawing plenty of attention. Now, we can show you that photo we just had up a moment ago. This is one of several that were posted by concerned citizens yesterday afternoon. They called Metro Police to report someone walking along the Mill Creek Greenway wearing a full red ninja bodysuit, face covered, with a tactical vest, boots, and carrying an AR-15 rifle. Now, witnesses say there were no reports of any shots fired or any threats made, but there was a very large police response to those calls, and the officers spotted the individual, identified as 22-year-old Michael Nita, walking along the Greenway through the woods and between homes there. Okay, again, no reports of threats or any shots fired, but he refused police commands to exit the tree line and then ultimately was taken into custody. I can tell you at this moment, this morning, Nita is still hospitalized and he's undergoing a mandatory psychological evaluation.
So, Nick, beyond that, is this guy going to face any charges?
Under Tennessee law, the bottom line on this is he can legally carry that weapon and go for a walk along the Greenway as he was. So as far as we know, there are no gun-related charges, but I'm told after Nita's done with that psych evaluation, he will be booked for resisting arrest. And we're going to continue to look further into this story. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
So basically, he's not going to face any repercussions for walking around looking crazy as hell. Because the truth is, looking crazy isn't a crime. Now, I'm glad to know he's getting some help because, honestly, I question anybody who's walking around in a full red jumpsuit. And to be not judgmental, the red jumpsuit's just kind of outdated. I haven't really seen anybody in that attire in quite some time. Now, I'm not going to go on some type of weapons tirade rant about, weapon rights and who should have guns and we should get rid of guns and whatnot. Honestly, I'm a gun advocate. I believe you should have guns, even though I don't have any. And that's only because I had this own personal, weird thing where I believe all of a sudden if I have a gun, I'll all of a sudden be in some weird situation where I'll need it, where I've, never needed it before. And the last thing I ever want to do is go to court again. Now, that would be a story for another time. But my main point of the story from a friend was are you sure that you're happy about it? Because it could lead to stuff like this, where, people in Florida are already crazy enough. Some of the weirdest and craziest and wildest and most ridiculous stories always come from Florida. So, are you sure you want some of those people able to walk around with weaponry like that? Because it's only going to get worse. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to do anything wrong with the guns or the weaponry that you have. It just means that you're an absolute flight risk. Or a complete nutcase. Would you really trust somebody's sanity who's walking around with an assault rifle down Broadway? Really? That's going to be the first person you go to for some information. All the people walking around. You don't want to go to the guy who's got the gun in his hand. The guy with the assault rifle. Who looks like he might shoot up everybody on the block. Now look, I was down the street when the Nashville bombing took place. So, sketchy behavior is not something I'm looking forward to in Tennessee. I'm just saying, me personally, I wouldn't feel safe. Now, I also wanted to report on another story report. Well, either way, I want to go ahead and talk about another story here that's pretty wild. Thought you'd find interesting.
Neighbors in Troy called the police, animal control, and the DNR, all trying to get a rabid raccoon removed from their neighborhood.
When they couldn't get help, they ended up corralling the poor thing by themselves. Mara McDonald is live in Troy tonight. Mara, there's another layer to all of this.
Kimberly, there is. Take a walk with me. Number one, take a look behind me. That's an elementary school. Now, we've walked 3 steps. That's the subdivision where this raccoon was, really right around the corner. Children walk that path to school every day. If you were confronted with this morning, you likely would be worried too. Neighbors in Troy called police and were told to call animal control or the DNR. DNR says, not our problem. Oakland County said, nope, not our problem. Multiple neighbors pushed back on that claim and were then bounced around to various numbers and voicemail.
It was frustrating because no one could seem to tell us what to do.
In fact, neighbors were told by someone at Animal Control to just let the raccoon go on its way. That wasn't going to happen. They were worried about the kids, so they trapped it themselves.
When we informed one of the agencies that we had, in fact, contained the animal, then we were told that that is against the law in Troy to trap wild animals.
I called the Oakland County Executive's office this evening to find out what is going on. To their credit, they jumped on this immediately. Now, typically, the county's animal control does not respond to raccoons. However, if there is a danger to people, especially children, they will and should. How this ball got dropped is something which will be unraveled this weekend.
It's frustrating. It makes me feel a lot better that there was an admission that there is something they could do and should have done. So I feel better about that. But it is unfortunate that it's, 10 hours later before we actually got a response.
Back here live after neighbors got the poor thing corralled with a rake and someone's dog's cage. They called an independent critter control company that could fit them in today. When that guy came out, saw the animal, he said there's no question in his mind that it was rabid. We're live in Troy tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
How frustrating and scary for anybody who lives in that area. Mara, we appreciate your story tonight.
Hard to watch. That animal is clearly in agony.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, like, this raccoon is literally at the door like he's in high school at the dude's house who his girlfriend cheated on him with. Like, if you looked up, the raccoon squared up numerous times.
This morning, you like...
And he had like the double coon paw technique, you know, like a person who's went off the reservation. But on a serious note, like, I do hate it for the raccoon because he's clearly out of his mind. Like, the raccoon he couldn't really help what was going on. So I really hate that for him. You can really tell that, like, the news reporter, she was like deeply disturbed, like how they handled the situation. Like, she was involved. And not involved in the sense like she was actually the person when using the rake and raking them into the dog cage. But while trying to probably do the report, she probably got a lot of testimonies talking about how non-responsive the animal crew was. Sort of like being in the inner city and like it's a bad night on like Friday or Saturday night and you're trying to get a hold of the police and they don't get there for like 2 or 3 or 6 hours or ever. I mean, there's been plenty of times that police forces were so overwhelmed in Nashville, Chicago areas and whatnot, people just never showed up. But pretty much any inner city. Sadly, we all know they killed that raccoon and called it a day. But I did want to touch base on one more story that I heard that I was pretty crazy. Something to look out for if you're ever going out on like a Friday, Saturday, or honestly, whatever night. Especially like if you're seeing a lot of security. Yeah, take a look at this one.
Flashing a badge, pulling people over, even trying to make arrests. 2 fake officers posing as cops are under arrest in Metro Atlanta tonight, and it is a growing problem, folks. Only on 11 Alive, the agency regulating those security guards is now sounding the alarm. 11 Alive's Caitlin Ross reports exclusively about this new state warning and how you can protect your family.
Just trying to figure out who you worked for.
I see red lights.
You're lying to me then. The authority is fake.
The GBI is looking for him.
But the fear is real.
We didn't know what was going to happen or what we were truly dealing with.
Fake cops intimidating real families in Atlanta.
I said, close the door, lock the door. Let's go.
The Levine family was terrified when a woman impersonating a GBI agent came to their door. And they're not alone.
Put your hands up. Stop.
Atlanta police arrested a man on their most wanted list working as an armed security guard in the city.
Hands out. Hands out.
11 Alive Investigates uncovered similar arrests.
We're going to have to take you in for that.
In Norcross, Dunwoody, and Atlanta earlier this year.
Wow, there's emergency lights.
The police chief in Ackworth spotted an imposter recently running lights and sirens.
So like me, you're impersonating a police officer.
We take a lot of time and we build a lot of trust in our community, and when someone messes up like that, people may not trust our department or trust our officers because they don't know what's going on.
We need real cops. I know. You could apply.
But it's not just fake cops getting a bad rap in the state.
It's such a huge risk.
Hawk Security Group says it has seen an explosion of unlicensed security guards and bodyguards around Atlanta.
You can't just pick somebody off the street, hand them a shirt that says, all right, now I need you to stand out here at this movie set or at this club and protect everybody. They don't know what they're doing.
After 11 Alive started asking questions about the problem, the Secretary of State's office sent an email to every registered security company in the state warning them about the influx in fake security guards.
How can you assure my safety if, when something bad happens, you don't know what to do?
So how can you tell the difference? A legit security guard must wear a badge or patch identifying what agency they work for. To carry a weapon, that guard must be licensed through the state. And no security guard is allowed to have the word enforcement on their uniform, according to state code. Impersonating a security guard is only a misdemeanor in Georgia, but Hawk Security Group worries the consequences could be serious.
It's a growing issue, and I don't think that it's going to stop, honestly, unless there's some new enforcement measures put in place.
Fake officers causing real confusion.
All right, so this week alone, a man posing as a security guard allegedly shot someone at Greenbrier Mall and arrested by Atlanta police. And another man allegedly impersonating a police officer was arrested outside a Marietta nightclub carrying a badge and drugs. So, police say the best thing to do if you believe that the officer or the security guard is not legit, just call 911 to verify that with the dispatcher.
Main moral of the story is that this is what happens when you hire Craig and Day Day as your security guards. You can end up with absolute shenanigans and calamity. See, this is what happens when you delegitimize very important and crucial leadership positions in society. You have companies that just start believing you can just throw anybody into a uniform and throw a badge on them and to say, hey man, these are the instructions and you're the guy. That doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. Like, no matter how lame training and going through tutorials and stuff is and, whatnot, I mean, everybody hates it. But the truth is, it's helpful. People need to be trained for positions. You can't just give people weapons and just say, hey man, go out there and protect somebody. Some people just freak out at the first sign of there's any trouble. Just like in horror movies, like somebody freezes. That happens in real life too. It's sort of like when you're watching a movie and somebody's like, oh man, I would have just slapped that gun out of their hand. It's like, dude, no, you probably wouldn't have. I saw you freeze up that one time a dog came out of the corner. You wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have slapped that gun out of his hand. You would have just got shot in the face. Blood spattered all over the wall. Lights out, game over, Control Alt Delete. Like, to me, it makes me think, like, after a while, you start getting worried just because everything seems delusional or not real or genuine. Everything seems phony because these people aren't even trained or qualified to do any of the stuff that they're supposed to do. So, what's the comfort in that? Handing out fake nursing degrees in Florida, I mean, that's kind of important. I mean, that's not a very, minuscule position to just have. I would like to know the person who's injecting me with fluids knows what they're doing. I would like my pilot to know how to fly a plane. Hey man, so how's your flight skills? Yeah, like, bro, I just got this hat and this badge this morning, so like, yeah, bro, like, I'm really totally ready to fly, bro. Yeah. And that's not very comforting. But I don't want to get overly preachy. Thanks for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for all the new subscribers that we've had recently. I really appreciate it. And I'll be seeing you soon. Peace.